Good afternoon. This is Monday, the 31st of July, and it is 5:55 in the afternoon. We are here to have a meeting of the Finance Committee. To my left is Mr. John Swayzer, member of the committee. To my right, Mr. Doug Tremblay, also a member. My name is Tom Kendall, and I'm chairman of the committee. We have one item to come before this body today, and Mr. Titterington, will you be leading that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You have a recommendation from the Loan Review Committee to modify the terms of a 2015 revolving loan, CDBG revolving loan, that was granted to Troy Community Works. That was to acquire and to begin to renovate the property known as the Sadelman Building at the corner of East Main and North Market, known as 1 through 3 East Main Street. That loan is $850,000. It was structured as a 5-year forgivable loan. Each year they would provide benchmarks and performance data showing that they've used the proceeds for that particular year, and upon successful completion of those, that portion of the loan has been forgiven. If you recall, when our loan was given to them, they had structured several other financing opportunities that they continue to pursue, including other grants, including state and federal tax credits, as well as conventional financing. They have received some of the tax credits and are on track to receive more tax credits. They are in the process of receiving other grants, and where they have had some concerns or have been told that there are some concerns is with the conventional financing through the banks, because by calling it a forgivable loan, even though we would consider it more of a grant than a loan, because we're not expecting them to pay it back, assuming that they perform, which they have, banks will continue to consider it an obligation until all of it is forgiven. What that's created is kind of a catch-22 for them, and so what they've asked, given that they have the potential to finish that whole project within an 8 to 12 month period, and by doing that, their pro forma shows that they would finish it inside and out and have all 3 floors ready, assuming that they get and gain all of the rest of their financing. By turning it from a forgivable loan into a straight-out grant, that would take it away as an obligation, and the banks would look at it differently. And so that is part of the recommendation to you, is that $850,000 be reclassified, if you will, from a forgivable loan to a grant. Also, to assist with this and to be able to use future returns, the committee also recommended that the $850,000 be increased to $1 million, an additional $150,000. And the reason, when the committee discussed this, the reason that we were amenable to it is that this is Troy Community Works, which is a nonprofit. They serve as a CDC, Community Development Corporation, similar mandate, I guess. As a nonprofit, any of the proceeds that they receive, any of the rents, anything that's in excess of their obligations, their mandate is that they have to turn that back into reinvestment into the community. Specifically the community, but between the downtown and some of our other nonprofits that are in need of investment. So we know that money is not going to go to a private developer as profit. It's going to be reinvested in the community. And so the committee felt that this was the kind of project that would be a good seed project to create that kind of fund, if you will, to continue to be returned and reinvested in the downtown and in the broader community. It is an iconic building that recognizing it as a grant instead of a forgivable loan will provide them access to some additional avenues of conventional financing that are not currently available. And we would like to see that project, given that it's an iconic project and an iconic building, as you hit the square not hit the square, but come into the square from the south. You know, it's one of our key buildings downtown, and we're all feeling that that's a very high priority to have it refurbished as quickly and as much as possible. There are some members of the committee here. There are representatives from Troy Community Works if you do have any additional questions or concerns.
If I might add to that too, I also sit on the committee, and there was a lot of discussion that went on, but at the end, we were all, the committee as a whole was in agreement that we should move forward with this and allow them to have the additional $150,000 in addition as a grant, which would allow them to be able to basically get the financing then to complete the project. So, Doug, any?
It appears that the stumbling block of the loan being an asset or a liability, it seems kind of odd how they do that, but I'm not in the banking business, so I don't understand that. But it appears that it's a stumbling block rather than a help. But to get this thing going, it looks like it needs the $150,000 and to convert it to a grant. Delaying is just going to cost the project more money and
Right.
in inflationary cost of building, which it's doing right now.
Yeah. And the fact will slow down being able to proceed with the completion of it.
Right. So it looks like we can break the deadlock and get it moving with that.
Right.
That's the only comment I had.
All right. John.
As I recall, when we did this the first time, we had, either we used the money for something within the community or we had to give it back to the state. Am I,
That's,
remember that right?
yeah, there are some new criteria with through the state of Ohio. These are all federal community development block grant funds, and that the state administers and monitors on behalf of the federal government with the communities. And so there have been communities across the state that were accumulating too high balances, and with the federal CDBG money being reduced, they've been looking at those balances to try to reallocate if there's excess amounts. Mm-hmm. We have several $1 million on the street. We have 30 to 40 projects that we've done over the last 30 plus years, I think. We are, in a way, a victim of our own success. We churn a consistent amount of interest, and so we do try to turn that money back out onto the street as quickly as we possibly can. We continue to watch that very closely. I want to say that the balances that we should not exceed before we start getting scrutiny are around $100,000. So it's a fairly low balance. They know that we're active. We have the 3, maybe 2 loans. I think we consolidated one. Programs out there, and so we're constantly beating the bushes to get the money out. But you're right, the state does look at that, and so we want to keep it local as much as possible. And by doing this, to follow up on your point, by making this a grant, by making this grant to Troy Community Works, we are getting that money off of our books, but it stays in the community and it can really serve the same purpose, which is a good partnership for us to have.
We have several different funds that we work with. The fund that the 850 came out of, didn't we just about deplete that fund for this? Seemed like there was a certain amount that was within that particular CDBG fund.
Yeah, we didn't deplete it, but we took the balance down fairly significantly, yes. But in the meantime, and that was 2 years ago, so we've begun to build the balance back up. And they changed some of the objectives, and I don't see Jim here, but with the way we changed the objectives, we may have combined two of the funds together. We don't have an excess amount of money, but we still have a balance because we do have other projects that are in various stages of being looked at, and we can still accommodate those.
I just don't want to see us hurt ourselves for something else down the road. Somebody that comes into town and wants to open up something and they need money.
And that can always happen, but if it doesn't happen and we pass on an opportunity like this, which is probably one of the better opportunities that we can have, given the building, given the organization involved, then we'd risk the other consequence, which is having it taken away from us.
Oh, it's a great project. It's truly a great project. That's all.
Anything else? Anybody from the audience?
Is this two pieces of legislation or one?
How many pieces of
We
legislation?
think one.
One, yeah,
We are requesting emergency.
and you are, you do want emergency. So, John,
I'm good with emergency.
I'm good with emergency.
unanimous, so let's go forward. Anything else come before finance? Okay, thank you, meeting